Hi everyone, it's Dr. Ramani. Welcome back to this YouTube channel and all kinds of issues related to narcissism. It's my hope that understanding all of these finer points about narcissism will help you negotiate these relationships, heal from them, and also potentially even avoid them before you get into another. So today I'm going to talk about a dynamic that's often a big part of the narcissistic relationship, which is the idea of tension reduction. So let's take that on. Let's talk about the so-called tension reduction hypothesis, or really the question, why does my narcissist keep harassing me until I respond and get angry and then they calm down? Tension reduction is a concept that comes up a lot when we are understanding a range of personality styles, as well as different kinds of dysregulated behavior, such as impulsive anger, aggression, and violence, substance use, and even self-harm. In short, in a person who struggles with tension and appropriate management of that tension, they will have the tension ramp up in them like a head of steam. And then they will either blow up or succumb to the behavior that maybe they're trying to resist, and then, boom, they're fine. You will be ragged from the abuse, but then after they throw their tantrum, they're fine. In fact, may even throw in a gaslighting barb at you like, oh, come on now, stop making a fuss. Yeah, I know I was mad, but it wasn't that bad. So what does this look like? Now, any of you who have been in any form of narcissistic relationship, whether in your family, in an intimate relationship, or in the workplace, you have gone through this. Here's an example. For some reason, a person with a difficult or narcissistic or antagonistic relationship in your life, they experience an ego injury of some kind, a narcissistic injury. It may be because something didn't go the way they wanted in some area of their lives, that you are friends with someone and because you have this friendship that got them mad, that you're friends with one of their business competitors, that you aren't giving them the answer they want, or that you said something that brought up their insecurity, or you didn't read their mind. Then they may start texting you. It may start slow, but then it keeps going and going. The texts start to turn into word salad. You know what I mean? Those texts that are so long that you need to press that little button and then they turn into a big document that fills up your phone. Anytime you get a text that long, it's a problem. It's not unusual for these texts to come into your device one after the other, or in bizarre hours in the middle of the night or in the early morning. On the basis of conventional narcissistic relationship wisdom, what do? You don't respond. You gray rock. You don't take the bait. And then they escalate. For them, the narcissist, the tension keeps rising. They keep texting. You don't respond. They keep texting. At this point, they may even be engaging in thinly veiled threats, or maybe not so thinly veiled. They may even threaten to do something dangerous or hint at that. You get concerned and you respond to their text. In many cases, this may either change the direction of these mounting texts or stop it. They may get angry and will get mad at you for not responding. You may respond in a very brief way and they'll want more responses. You may respond quite kindly and they might actually de-escalate, but the tone might change. Because what the tension reduction hypothesis in narcissism, it's as such that they need a reaction. They can't regulate, so they escalate and they escalate. And then once you finally respond to them in a way that they want, it's as though the tension is released, and they may actually start wondering why you are reacting so strongly. They may release that tension by screaming at you, but then it's out, and then you're upset and they don't get it. I had this happen once to me recently where the person kept texting. The nature of my work is such that it may sometimes be 5 to 6 hours before I can return a message because I'll have back-to-back clients or teaching. People who know me should know that. But I guess there are enough people out there who are entitled who just keep going. I also shut my phone down at certain times on the weekend and night just to set a boundary and give myself a break. This particular person started small. They sent a few memes, they sent some videos, they sent some other stuff, and then more pointedly started stating their displeasure because I wasn't getting back to them. And then some middle of the night text that took up multiple screens on my phone, and then some early morning ones. Maybe that person stayed up all night building up with that tension. Those texts were thinly veiled and not so thinly veiled threats. My phone was actually off for a lot of this. So I finally looked at the tension-induced meltdown after 12 hours of having my phone off and calmly replied in a therapist-y way, and the person calmed down. This person could not regulate and had to have a response. They felt entitled to a response. The person was actually mildly terrifying, and so I wanted to de-escalate the situation. But I could see the almost immediate tension response. They were even conciliatory and tried to sound like a grown-up, all calm and composed and reasonable, after sending me text diarrhea for 12 hours. These tension escalations and breakdowns can happen by phone, text, email, or even more frighteningly, they may just show up. Or if you live with this person, it can manifest by the person following you around the house, room to room, yelling at you and blocking doors. Narcissistic people with that tension have to have their reaction. They feel entitled to their reaction. Much like a tantruming child, they have to throw themselves down on the ground, at least metaphorically, and get a rise out of people, and then they get exhausted. It's an adult tantrum. These tension reduction episodes are a prime example of the dysregulation that characterizes narcissism. Usually, we see their dysregulation as rage, but the tension reduction is their need to let loose on someone. If they can't yell it out, it's not out. For the rest of us, we do not have that luxury. We don't get to throw a tantrum. We have to find appropriate ways to vent. Therapy, journaling, a run, a shower, a drive when we cry, or where we cry, a chat with a friend. We do not stalk someone until they respond to our meltdown. Again, we should have aged out of that stocky tantrum style at around age 3 or 4. The buildup of tension is deeply uncomfortable for them. And remember, narcissistic people don't do discomfort. Instead, they make it someone else's problem. I have seen many a narcissistic person survey the damage after one of their tension release episodes. Terrified people, in some cases even restraining orders, people who have quit working for them, people who have ended relationships. Narcissistic people will often think that people are overreacting. They just needed to let off steam, after all. And yeah, sometimes they might even say, yeah, I guess I could have done it differently, but gosh, why is everyone making such a big deal out of this? I just got mad. And when it's explained to them why, they actually do get it. They're not psychotic, but invariably, they do it again. When a narcissistic person is not in their tension-induced state, they actually may have some preserved insight and recognize why it is not okay, but will say something like, I couldn't help it, or it's not that big a deal. I've been under a lot of stress. Like I said, unless they are psychotic, they can help it. They chose not to help it, and then slowly get enraged that there are consequences to their behavior and people are calling them out. The constant buildup of tension within the narcissistic personality style is a chronic feature of this personality. For some folks, it's like a volcano that erupts regularly. For others, it's a slow burn. It doesn't happen all the time, but it's always lurking and contributes to the eggshell walking we so often see in narcissistic relationships of all kinds. The tension release meltdown in every narcissistic relationship is always around the next corner. Some folks with these personalities turn to drugs and alcohol as part of this cycle, which invariably makes it worse, or they're walking around perpetually stoned as a way to sort of numb out these dysregulated states. You may wonder, after they wreak so much havoc, blow up your phone, or come at you in some unrelenting manner, why they are so calm after the blow up. After they release it, they are so calm that they may, in fact, criticize other people for being so worked up. It's a gaslighting chaser after a terrifying tantrum. Think of it as psychologically explosive vomiting. Once they get it out, they feel better, but the rest of us have it all over our shoes and our clothes, and that is not very pleasant. So that buildup of tension, that explosive release, because things aren't working out the way they wanted, and then once they get their blow up done, they're kind of like, everything's fine, and they resent that other people were bothered by it. Very classical relationship pattern in a narcissistic relationship, and I hope that helps you make sense of the chronic tantrums you feel like you're always having to deal with in your narcissistic relationship.